she was awarded the Nobel Prize in Physics in 1930. On this occasion, theme based science communication activities are carried out all over the country. Today, we have organized a webinar as a part of this month long celebration that we are planning from SOS, NCID, and RSD. I request our director, Madam Professor Meenal Mishra, to deliver the formal welcome address.
Thank you, Professor Kamalika. Good afternoon and namaskar to all of you. Indeed, it's really a great privilege for me to welcome you all to this webinar organized by School of Sciences in collaboration with NCID and RSD. As all of you know, School of Sciences has been celebrating National Science Day on 28th February each year. But this time, this webinar is a part of month-long Science Day celebrations in which School of Sciences, in collaboration with NCIDE, that is National Center for Innovations in Distance Education, and Regional Services Division, RSD, is organizing a month-long Pan-India program. So this way we will reach our learners in every nook and corner of the country. And I feel this initiative will help our learners to connect with us and increase the enrollment in different programs. At the outset, I express my deep sense of gratitude to our Honorable Vice Chancellor, Sir, Professor Nageshwar Rao, Sir, for giving all the necessary approvals to conduct this program. But today, because of his extremely busy schedule and important engagements, VC Sir could not join us. Sir has always guided us, motivated us, supported, and he has always encouraged us in all our endeavors. And under the able guidance of Honorable Vice Chancellor, Sir, our university has received the highest NAC accreditation A++. On behalf of School of Sciences, I am very much honored by the gracious presence of our Pro Vice Chancellor, Sir, Professor Satyakam, Sir. I warmly welcome you, sir. On behalf of RSD, I take this opportunity to thank our Pro Vice Chancellor, Dr. Shrikant Mahapatra, sir, for his gracious presence and guidance in this endeavor. I warmly welcome you, sir. We are and regarding our today's keynote speaker, we are extremely delighted and overwhelmed, and we are thankful to Sir Engineer Anuj Sinha sir for kindly agreeing to deliver the keynote address in spite of his other engagements on a very interesting and exciting topic, excitement of research for open learners. That is today's topic. Uh, Sir Anuj Sinha sir, he served as director Vigyan Prasar DST and advisor and head of National Council for Science, Technology, Communication DST. Thank you so much, sir. I warmly welcome Dr. O.P. Sharma ji, Director NCID, and Dr. U.C. Pandey, Director RSD. And together with this, I take this opportunity to thank both the directors for collaboration in organizing this event. I extend my hearty welcome to all the directors of the schools and heads of divisions, faculty members from other schools, my colleagues, officers from regional centers, IGNOU fraternity, and dear students to this webinar. This webinar is being streamed live on Facebook and YouTube. And I also extend my hearty welcome to all the guests who have joined us today. Now, regarding a brief introduction about the school. The School of Sciences offers higher education in science in 8 disciplines: biochemistry, chemistry, geography, geology, life sciences, physics, mathematics, and statistics. And the faculty members, they are involved in planning, developing, and offering academic programs at awareness, certificate, diploma, undergraduate, and postgraduate levels in distance mode and regular mode. Obviously, the research is offered in the regular mode. So far, the school has designed and developed and offered 29 programs, and presently, 7 MSc programs are at various stages of development, and we expect them very soon to be launched in the next semester. Some of them. Faculty has successfully completed many projects which have been funded by government agencies like DST, SERB, and then UGC, CSIR, DBT, BRNS, and the research outputs and research papers, they have been published in high impact national and international journals. With this very brief introduction about the school, I again welcome all of you to this today's webinar. Thank you.
Thank you, madam. Now, innovation and science and technology, all this goes hand in hand. And so, School of Sciences has collaborated with NCID for this celebration. The National Center for Innovations in Distance and Education, NCID, is a facility for promoting, supporting innovations in ODS system. I now request Dr. O.P. Sharma, the director of NCID, to make the announcement for National Science Day. Dr. O.P. Sharma.
Thank you, madam. Good afternoon to all of you. Respected chairperson of today's program, Professor Satyakamji, Professor Mahapatra sir, chief guest of today's program, Engineer Anuj Sinha, Director, School of Sciences, Director, Regional Service Division, and all the directors, regional directors, and my colleague at the Indira Gandhi National University. It is my privilege to join today's program with the School of Sciences to celebrate the 1 month long National Science Day program. Normally, National Science Day program in our university are celebrated on the day of National Science Day, that is on 28th February. This time, Director School of Sciences, he came and discussed how to go further in this direction to celebrate this program. So, based on my experience and also requirement of the Ministry of Education's Innovation Cell, because they also want National Science Day to be celebrated by the university, we had discussed and decided this 1 month long program involving the regional centers. Uh, in fact, today is the beginning of that 1 month long program. In that, one important activity is the Ideathon. That is the idea competition involving the themes related to the theme of the National Science Day, because main theme we had considered science, technology, and innovation for national development. In that, we have decided to have the sub themes: no poverty, zero hunger, good health and well-being, clean water and sanitation, sustainable and community sustainable agriculture, affordable, reliable, sustainable, and modern energy. These are sub themes. In these themes, we are inviting innovative ideas from IGNOU students and alumni, inculcated among these students. So, through this poster competition, we are trying to inculcate creativity, creative thinking, and scientific attitude among the students. Again, the theme and sub themes are same, and the last date will be 15th February to be received at the regional centers. And after that, we will be receiving the evaluated best 3 entries at the national level. Third important activity is the essay writing competition. Again, the theme and sub themes are same, because the students, some students may be having interest in poster, some may be having interest in ideas, and some other may be very good in writing critical creative writing. That's why we thought we should give this opportunity to pen down their innovative thoughts, how science and technology and innovation are solving the problems in these sub theme areas. Detailed guidelines have been prepared for these all three events. These guidelines will be shared to students directly as well as to the regional centers and other faculty members through our website. We have created a special website for this purpose where the details, guidelines, format, and other things will be available to the students, and they can send their entries to the regional center, respective regional centers. The regional centers will evaluate these entries at their level and will decide best three in each category, and out of which the first top one will be forwarded to the headquarter, where we will be again reevaluating and selecting the best three in each category. So that is the format of organizing these three events. In addition to that, we have this popular talk today by Sri Anush Sinha, and also on final day on 28 February we will be having another talk by some eminent expert. So this is the format of 1 month long National Science Day celebrations, where we are trying to involve maximum number of IGNOU students and alumni, including the faculty. And we hope with the support of all of you, guidance of all of you, this program will be successful. Thank you very much to all of you.
Thank you, Dr. Upi Sharma, for making these announcements. And we really hope more and more IGNOU students, faculty, all are involved. And students should not be afraid of failure. As C.V. Raman said, I am the master of my failure. If I never fail, how will I ever learn? So let's hope for more and more participation. Now, this time, SOS and NCID plan to provide opportunities to its students throughout the length and breadth of the country to come together, work together, and experience the joy of doing science. So, School of Science, NCID, has collaborated with IGNOU's Regional Services Division for this. I request now Dr. U.C. Pandey, the Director of Regional Services Divisions, to mention about the activities planned at RCs. Dr. U.C. Pandey, please.
Thank you. Uh, Esteemed chairperson of today's program, Professor Satyakam, Honorable Pro-Vice Chancellor Dr. Shrikant Mahapatra, Director, School of Sciences, Director, National Center for Innovations in Distance Education, and our esteemed invited guests for today's program. I am very happy to see that a month-long this exercise of celebrating the National Science Day is going to begin today. And the topic which has been chosen for this is certainly the country's this priority area. The theme which the country has chosen for this is the global science for global well-being. And the topics which our organization has chosen are certainly very important, keeping in view of the fact that now India has assumed the presidency of G20 nations. And at the same time, we are going to address the crucial challenge of our time. They are the Sustainable Development Goals. And the topics which are there for these competitions which have been planned, they are very crucial to these different Sustainable Development Goals. So I congratulate the planners of this program, and in which our Regional Services Division will very enthusiastically participate. My colleagues from different regions are present in this meeting. They are senior regional directors or the regional directors, and we have already communicated the guidelines for the implementation of the plan which the university has chalked out for these celebrations. So my best wishes and my compliments for the success of this program. And from the side of Regional Services Division, I assure you that our regional centers will do it to the best extent possible. They will publicize among the students and the alumni. And I'm very happy to see that even alumni of IGNOU are going to be involved in this program. That is certainly a very noble initiative which the university has taken, and it will help us our connect with our pass outs of our university. So once again, thank you very much for giving me this opportunity and involving our network of regional centers in this important event. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Dr. Pandey, for extending such hearty cooperation for these celebrations, because celebrations of important scientific days with associated events bring scientific awareness in the community, and of course it will bring for our fraternity, our community in IGNOU. Now we move over to the special address by none other but our Pro Vice Chancellor, Dr. Srikant Mahapatra. Sir, please deliver the special address.
Thank you very much, uh, Professor Satyakam, our Pro Vice Chancellor and the chair of this program, Engineer Anuj Sinha ji, who was earlier the head and the advisor for the National Council for Science, Technology, Communication, and also Vigyan Prasar of the Department of Science, Government of India, Director School of Sciences, Professor Mrinal Misra Madam, our Director NCID, Dr. O.P. Sharma, Director RST, UC Pandeji, and Komalika Banerjee Madam, who is anchoring the program today. Let me at the outset welcome this wonderful initiative, rather a collaborative initiative of the School of Sciences, NCIDE, and the Regional Services Division to plan out a month-long celebration of the National Science Day. This is something which is innovative when National Center for Innovation is associated along with RST, because RST has a spread across the country and School of Sciences takes the lead. Then you know something wonderful will come out. And I'm very happy that this is the beginning of a full month of celebration of the National Science Day, which will be celebrated on 28th of February, almost every year, because this is a very wonderful moment. 28th of February, when C.V. Raman, the Nobel Prize winner, got the prize for his Raman effects. Friends, I would like to throw light on two very small issues, because we are all eager to listen to Anuj Sinha ji. But I would say that, see, in the year 1976, we had introduced a sub-chapter in our constitution which said fundamental duties. And one of the fundamental duties enshrined in our constitution is development of scientific temper. And 47 years have passed. And recently, our new education policy, which has come out in 2020, talks at 5 places about scientific temper. That means in last 45 years, when we developed our national education policy for both school education and higher education, we say that scientific temper was as much a hot topic in the mid-70s, and it is also a hot topic in 21st century India. And till now, we have not been able to develop scientific temper in this country. And the national education policy, which will be leading us to almost 2040, says that it is our duty and responsibility to develop scientific temper. So therefore, this kind of celebrations should also focus on creating awareness among the masses about scientific temper in the country, not only among our students, but among the general public at large. Because I have personally seen and experienced that in critical moments, our scientific temper vanishes. Even students and teachers of science also talk about something which is absolutely non-scientific. And therefore, national education policy says not only scientific temper, but evidence-based thinking. Your thinking should also be evidence-based. I remember when the pandemic first phase started, people were started saying that we must have done some evil thing, and therefore the world is going to be destroyed very soon. And many people also quoted the traditional stories and the granthas which talks about the future, and they said that this year or the next year is the last for the earth to survive. We will all vanish. The pandemic will completely destroy human being from across the country. But ultimately, science prevailed over this blind thinking. And we are all proud, we are all safe, we are all healthy, because it is the scientific community in the country which really did wonders. Because in the early part of 2020, we never thought that we'll have vaccines which will come and save the entire human kind in the globe. So ultimately, science prevails. But in critical moments, I find that our blind faith even dominates over science. Therefore, we should look for a day when everybody will be having scientific temper. Everybody will talk about evidence-based thinking, and we will really lead a life in a safer world. And therefore, this year's theme is Global Science for Global Well-being. You can't think of science for India. You can't think of welfare for India or welfare for my own state or my own family or my own human individual being. If real welfare has to come, it has to come in a global perspective. And therefore, it is science which is universal. And science can only ensure a safer world, a safer earth, a hunger-free humankind, and also prosperity for each and everyone living in this planet. I once again compliment all the organizers, and I can assure you from my side that our regional centers will actively participate, since the students are attached to the study centers and the counseling is starting in the study centers. The study centers will also be involved in the process, because we have to organize some quizzes, we have to organize some poster competitions, we have to give popular lectures across on scientific temper and science and its positive aspects for the welfare of the society. So all the regional centers and our learner support centers will definitely contribute for this noble cause. And I wish this entire initiative and endeavor a grand success. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir, for this inspirational speech, and really scientific temper and evidence-based thinking will be our motto. Now let us go over to the presidential address, and I request our Pro Vice Chancellor, Professor Satyakam, to deliver the presidential address. Sir.
धन्यवाद कमोलिका जी.
Thank you, sir.
आदरणीय अनुज सिन्हा जी, जो आज इस सभा की महत्ता और गरिमा बढ़ाने के लिए और हमारे ज्ञान का संवर्धन करने के लिए यहाँ उपस्थित हुए हैं. एक बड़े विद्वान को सुनना हमेशा केवल बौद्धिक ही नहीं बल्कि सहृदय भी होता है. और जो आज का संवाद है, आज का जो टॉपिक है, एक्साइटमेंट ऑफ रिसर्च फॉर ओपन लर्नर्स, ये एक बहुत ही चैलेंजिंग और बहुत ही उत्तेजना से भर देने वाला विषय। मैं और हम विश्वविद्यालय के सारे लोग जो सब यहाँ उपस्थित हैं, निदेशक महोदय, महोदया मीनल मिश्रा जी, श्रीकांत जी, भास्कर जी, ओपी शर्मा जी, कोमलिका जी, और भी विज्ञान विद्यापीठ के सभी सदस्य जिन्होंने इतनी मशक्कत के बाद इतना बढ़िया कार्यक्रम का आज आरंभ किया है, मैं सबको बहुत बहुत बधाई देना चाहता हूं और अपनी कामना प्रस्तुत करता हूं कि ये कार्यक्रम बहुत सफल रहे। आरंभ से ही हम लोग इस बात पर की चर्चा कर रहे हैं कि विज्ञान मानव कल्याण के लिए है, मनुष्य के लिए है, हमारी प्रगति के लिए है और अंततः विज्ञान ही हमारा साथी होता है। मैं एक साहित्य का विद्यार्थी हूं और साहित्य के विद्यार्थी होने के नाते विज्ञान को एक अलग नजरिए से देखता हूं। एक बार मैं आदरणीय राष्ट्र कवि दिनकर को सुन रहा था और उन्होंने कई विज्ञान पर कविताएं भी लिखी हैं। उन्होंने कहा था कि अगर कोई वैज्ञानिक साहित्य पढ़ लेता है या साहित्य का विद्यार्थी हो जाता है तो वो कभी भी ऐसे वैज्ञानिक आविष्कार नहीं करेगा जो मानव के लिए हितैषी न हो। या यदि कोई साहित्यकार विज्ञान पढ़ लेगा तो वह मानव की गतिविधियों को विज्ञान की नजर से देखेगा। और जिसका जिक्र डॉक्टर महापात्रा भी कर रहे थे कि जिसको हम अंधविश्वास कहते हैं, जो प्रमाण रहित चीजें हैं हमारे पास, जिसका प्रमाण हमारे पास नहीं, उसके प्रमाण खोजने की कोशिश हम करें जरूर। और एक बड़ी बहस है ईश्वर और विज्ञान की, आस्था और विज्ञान की, पूजा और विज्ञान की। एक साहित्य का विद्यार्थी होने के नाते मैं ये मानता हूं कि इन दोनों में कोई अंतर नहीं है। विज्ञान भी खोज है विश्व की, भूमंडल की, समस्त संसार की, अनंत ब्रह्मांड की। और ईश्वर भी के पास भी हम इसी खोज के साथ जाते हैं। लेकिन महत्वपूर्ण यह है कि यह मानव कल्याण के लिए। अभी 2-3 दिन पहले बहुत एक फिल्म की चर्चा थी, तो मैं वो देखने गया। पठान उस फिल्म का नाम है। उसमें विज्ञान का जिस तरह से प्रयोग किया गया है और उसमें जो भयावहता दिखाई गई है, किस तरह से वायरस लोग बनाते हैं और उसको फैलाते हैं, ये जिस विभीषिका से हम लोग गुजरे हैं, उसमें बहुत सारे ऐसे प्रमाण सामने आ रहे हैं कि यह मानव जनित है, यह केवल प्रकृति जनित नहीं है। तो जब हम साइंस के ग्लोबल होने की बात करते हैं तो साइंस के को मानवता के साथ, मानव कल्याण के साथ भी हमको जोड़कर रखना चाहिए। इतने हथियार हम बना रहे हैं, हथियार से एक दूसरे पर आक्रमण कर रहे हैं, विज्ञान के आविष्कारों द्वारा हम एक दूसरे मनुष्यता का नाश कर रहे हैं। आविष्कार होना चाहिए मानव कल्याण के लिए, और मुझे इस बात का पूरा भरोसा है कि जब हम अपने विद्यार्थियों को यह बताएंगे कि अनुसंधान के द्वारा मनुष्य के सत्य को, विश्व के सत्य को ढूंढने के लिए निकलो, तो उसमें ये देखो कि हम कितने लोगों का कल्याण कर रहे हैं। पौराणिक कथाओं में भी विज्ञान और अविज्ञान के बीच में संघर्ष के बहुत सारे दस्तावेज मिल जाते हैं। हमें देखना चाहिए उनको। वे केवल किंवदंतियां नहीं है, वे केवल मिथक नहीं है, वे केवल मिथ नहीं है। तो हमारी ये निरंतर खोज ही विज्ञान है, और जब हमें प्रमाण मिल जाता है तो हम ये कहते हैं कि यह स्थापित हुआ। लेकिन एक ही प्रमाण, आप लोग सब लोग वैज्ञानिक हैं, एक ही प्रमाण दूसरी बार फिर उसका नए स्वरूप में आता है। जब सीवी रमन साहब ने जब अपना आविष्कार किया था, उसके पहले भी तो ये भूमंडल में ये वस्तु स्थिति उपस्थित थी, लेकिन रमन जी ने हमको बताया कि ये इफेक्ट क्या होता है। तो मैं तो बहुत आज आप लोगों के सामने विज्ञान के क्षेत्र में बहुत अज्ञानी हूं, लेकिन आपने मुझे ये अध्यक्षता की करने का जो जिम्मा दिया एक साहित्य के विद्यार्थी को, तो मैं बहुत ही शुक्रगुजार हूं। और मैं तो बैठा हूं कि मैं अनुज जी को सुनूं और कुछ सीखूं और ज्ञान प्राप्त करूं। आप लोगों को बहुत बहुत बधाई कि आप लोगों ने इतना बढ़िया और नवाचार का कार्यक्रम शुरू किया है हमारे विद्यार्थियों के लिए। और अब दूर शिक्षा के विद्यार्थी भी दूर रहकर भी आविष्कार कर सकते हैं, सीख सकते हैं, प्रयोग कर सकते हैं, स्किल की तरफ आगे बढ़ रहे हैं। तो अब दूर शिक्षा में और कक्षा के शिक्षण में अब कोई अंतर नहीं रह गया है, और ये भी विज्ञान की ही देन है, क्योंकि टेक्नोलॉजी के द्वारा ही यह संभव हुआ है कि हम अपने विद्यार्थियों तक पहुंचे। बहुत बहुत धन्यवाद, शुक्रिया।
Thank you, sir. Thank you for your inspirational speech. And now I request our Professor Bhaskar to introduce the speaker.
Thank you, madam. Namaskar to all respected members. With the permission of chair, I introduce the speaker. I made a small PPT. I hope this is visible. Kamalika madam, can you see it?
It is coming. Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay. It was very difficult for me to make a summary of the achievements of sir, because there are a lot of things to write about him. Engineer Anuj Sinha sir is a highly decorated science communicator who led Vigyan Prasar, Noida in Uttar Pradesh. It is a national laboratory for science communication, and he headed this organization for 2 years. He also held a very important position, head and advisor, Science Communication Division, Department of Science and Technology, Government of India for about a decade, 2000 to 2010. His education, if you see, he has completed BTech Chemical Engineering from Nagpur University. His interests are as varied as science as arts. You can see he has done MBA in finance from Delhi University. He has also done MSc in economics from London University, London School of Economics, London University. You can see he's a real scholar. His interest ranges in spans all the disciplines. He is also the honorary fellow of Indian Science Writers Association. He has been bestowed with many awards, but I thought a few of them I can list. Bestowed Saraswati Putra Samman in September 2017. He joined the Department of Science and Technology, New Delhi in 1985. He piloted policy and program initiatives for promoting careers of young researchers. New initiatives were launched under his leadership. He was responsible for applying science to society and launched a number of programs for supporting technology generating organizations. As science communicator, he was involved in all the major science outreach campaigns almost for a decade, you can say more than that, 1992 to 2011. He conducted the Children's Science Congress, guided them. It's an annual event held in every district. It is a very big event. Science Teachers Conference, again he guided, and this was in alternate years. Under his leadership, these were held. And several captivating science films, TV serials, and radio programs on popular science with interactive features and memorable storylines were developed under his guidance. Most importantly, he also conducted, with his guidance, field activities involving folk artists to take the message of science across the countryside. He was appointed Director Vigyan Prasar, the country's only laboratory for science and technology outreach in 2009. He gave new motivation to the team and developed new program. For example, Science for Gender Empowerment, National Science Film Festival, Science on Social Media, etc. He has written several books, but one of his popular books is on nuclear energy. He has written several chapters, but I have chosen to show here chapter on e-waste management in the urban environmental crisis in India, 2017, Cambridge Scholars publication. Why I made this mention here is last week our Honorable Prime Minister made a complete session on this Man Ki Baat. He talked entirely about e-waste management. It is the effort of science communicators like him and others which has resulted in these topics coming to the public domain, where even the Prime Minister gave so much importance to the e-waste management. He has contributed to scholarly chapters to technical books in English. He has several thought-provoking editorials and articles. I cannot name them because it is too long. Science and technology communication in popular magazines and newspapers. With this, I would request Sir to kindly enlighten us with his wisdom. And we are grateful, sir, you accepted our invitation. Please, sir. Sir, you're muted and your screen is tilted, sir. Yeah, now it's okay, sir.
Bhaskar sir, please stop presenting. Yes.
I've stopped.
Okay. Professor Mahapatra ji, Dr. Satyakam, Meenal Mishra ji, Dr. U.C. Pandey, Dr. O.P. Sharma, Dr. Bhaskar, many center heads from the various regional centers, faculty of the university, and of course, students and other guests. It's a great honor to be able to talk to such a wide audience with such vast scholarship. And I would like to utilize my next half an hour in talking about a few questions which have been worrying me, and I don't have answers, but I thought I should share the ideas with you, and maybe in the course of today or later, some of these ideas may trigger some thought process in some members of the audience, and maybe something really good will evolve out of such a dialogue. I'm very delighted to learn that this month, the National Science Month will involve a lot of open learners of the university to talk about their ideas in the Ideathon, to present their posters, and to share their ideas as in the essay writing, and there'll be popular talks. That I think is the very spirit in which the Science Day and the Science Month ought to be celebrated. On the side, that when 28th February became the National Science Day, I'll tell you a little bit about the history of that. We had the difficulty that it would not reach anybody in the press through the media, because 1st March would generally be the day on which we present the budget, the national budget. So the Science Day activity, whatever we did at that center or whatever happened all over the country, would get blinded by the discussion on the budget. Now, you have started this on 1st February, which is very nice, but look at this finance minister. She has decided that she would like to present the budget today. So, so you are going to see still that tomorrow our Science Day lecture is not going to be finding half a centimeter in the newspapers, because it will be full of discussion on the budget and the relief on the additional taxes or whatever else that is happening on the national front. My presentation is there. I would like to see the next slide, please. Yeah. We are very aware that science has made rapid strides. And when I say science, I am not being limited to the discovery and the innovation of nanoparticles. It is science, innovation, and technology. I look at it in a broader compass. So in agriculture, we have had the green revolution and the blue revolution and the yellow revolution and the white revolution. We know, I mean, that we, from a country which was running on from port to sort of stomach, because we were so much dependent on imported food grains. Today we are surplus. We are surplus in fruit, we are surplus in milk, we are surplus in eggs. We are the leading agencies for mustard, and a lot of things have happened, and it's entirely because of the contribution of scientists. So hats off to you. We just learned about the difficulties that all of us faced the last 3 years because of the COVID, and how science and scientists have been able to manage both the problems of the COVID protocol and also how to ensure that we have vaccinations which are so affordable and vastly available. Our vaccinations have been gone to about 200 countries across the world, and we have been able to, I think, ensure that by another month or two, the national emergency on COVID will be removed. Similarly, we have treatments being developed for various disorders, genetic and both those which are communicable and those which come with old age, those which come with whatever criteria. So a lot of research is going on and a lot of developments are taking place. We, when we do have to visit a tertiary hospital or a secondary hospital, we realize how much of diagnostics is now based on modern science and technology, and how quickly doctors come up with the right type of treatment protocols because they have access to a lot of what is happening inside our body, whether it is the pancreas or liver or blood or lungs or heart, and they're able to give treatment. We know, I mean, how communication has improved. Right from the time a lot of us here were happy with radio, and now we have access to so much more. We all now, in fact, become slaves perhaps to the developments in communication technologies, and the screen time that we spend is another crisis that is coming up. We are all the time telling our children and grandchildren to reduce the screen time, so that they do not become more and more dependent on the issues of uh, communication. Transport, we know we have now super fast trains, trains that run at 120 kilometers an hour, 130 kilometers an hour. We are talking of a bullet train coming up very shortly. Similarly, the road movement of goods, we have the naval strength that we had in ancient times has only been increased and improved over the times. So there was a time when we actually had the whole of Southeast Asia at our beck and command because of the exports and imports that we had because of the navigation. And today again we are there. In energy we have challenges and of course also we have successes. We are now talking of green hydrogen as a solution, and I'm sure our scientists will find the right mechanism of being able to ensure that our carbon footprint continues to reduce and our green handprint continues to improve, and we are able to meet not only our requirement but also the requirement of rest of humanity. In space science, we are very proud of the development that we have made. Our launches are so much more economical, so much more accurate than what the US or USSR or whatever, Russia today, or other countries have been able to do. And we are really proud of the work that the scientists and engineers are doing in the space department. In defense, we know, I mean, we are now almost self-sufficient in most of our requirements, but there are new challenges that are coming up. But that will continue because we have to keep pace with the requirement of the defense forces. So the reason why I mentioned these 7 or 8 segments of our science and technology is that India is often labeled as a science superpower. And this happens because there is manpower which is available in each of these sectors, manpower that has been developed by our universities, our research laboratories, our schools, and all of you should be able to take a bow that it is the work that you and your colleagues have been doing that has ensured that India today is a superpower. So when we celebrate the month of science, I think there is one reason to feel satisfied that it is the work of scientists, the work of teachers, the work of educationists, the work of mentors that has helped our growth and it has helped mankind. So the theme this year is very appropriate, and we have already dedicated ourselves to trying to find solutions for these. So even new challenges, whether it is the climate change, whether it is the genetic modified organisms and food, whether it is nanoscience and technology, each of these will also be able to contribute to finding better solutions, smarter solutions, and I'm sure the quality of life will continue to improve. Next, please. We have heard just now from the people who spoke before me that the National Science Day is so significant. And I just recall that 35 years back, we were proposing to the Prime Minister that we need to have a National Science Day. And it was actually suggested for 7th November, which was the birthday of Sir C.V. Raman. And at that time, Rajiv Gandhi ji was the Prime Minister. He said that November is anyway crowded with the Bal Divas and the other events that are taking place, Mrs. Indira Gandhi's birthday. So he asked for an alternate date. And then it was suggested that 28th February, which is also associated with the work of Sir C.V. Raman, and the fact that he announced his discovery on 28th February was decided as the day, and that is how we are celebrating the National Science Day on 28th February. I must also tell you, and this is something so remarkable, that C.V. Raman was at Calcutta. He was an assistant commissioner in the government, and he would complete his official work, but he had taken permission from the director of the IACS, the Indian Association of Cultivation of Sciences, which is a laboratory at Calcutta, that he would like to work off hours, outside the office hours, on the projects that he is interested in. That was the qualities of light, the characteristics of scattering. So the total equipment that he had at his command was costing 232 rupees and 12 paisa. And on this, he and his team were making remarkable progress despite the limitations here as compared to other centers where similar work was going on in the US and the UK. His almost equipment, which was almost, you might say, very, very low cost and therefore not really very accurate, he was able to make discoveries and find the characteristics and produce his research ahead of the work that was going on in the US laboratories and the UK laboratories, and that was recognized, for which he later on also got the Nobel Prize. In fact, since then, not before, not after, there have been no science Nobel Prize winners for work done by Indians in India. So still very proud of what work Dr. C.V. Raman did, and still very hopeful of Indian scientists being able to do work which would get them equal recognition like that of a Nobel. Dr. Satyakam mentioned about scientific temper, and I must tell you that we also wanted that right from the beginning, the National Science Day should focus on scientific temper, critical thinking, problem solving, and such which the common man should have. So, and of course, the scientists obviously should have. So it is not only for the common man, also for the scientist. And as was being mentioned, that sometimes scientists too themselves tend to have a personal life which is not very amenable to a test of their scientific temper. So the new education policy gives a lot of importance to scientific temper, and I agree it is late, but then never better late than never. And I'm sure that amongst you there are people who are in the field of education. Some of them will be able to give this even a bigger push and ensure that we don't leave this problem solving and informed decision making, etc., as just slogans, but that they become part of the process of learning and teaching, so that they also become part of the way we spend our life. And that, I think, is important. So, as mentioned, that Article 51AH was introduced, that this is the duty of every citizen to develop scientific temper, humanism, and the spirit of inquiry and reform. This is a very important statement that was introduced. We also, I must also tell you that 1958, the Parliament considered and passed a science policy resolution in which also they emphasized on development of scientific temper. And we are perhaps the only democracy, only country which considered in a parliament session and passed a resolution which was on scientific temper and science policy. We have since then had 4 other versions of science policy, science technology policy, science technology and innovation policy, and every time we have emphasized that there should be effort by scientists in reaching out to the people, and that people need science in their daily lives. So the policy is there, the people are there, and somehow I think we still require that conduction or something, that be able to reach out and be able to make a difference. Next, please. Yeah, thank you. I selected the open learners as part of my topic because I felt that talking to um, your students, your faculty, we must try and make things a little more uh, relevant to the open learners. And the open learners, of course, not just who are doing correspondence courses or distance education mode, they are just much, much, much more. And that's what the open universities offer. And one of the features is that the age of entry is not limited. There's a possibility of combining a lot of courses, um, and that you are able to give. And I, as a student, am able to do education of relevance, which I feel is important to me. And there are study centers. And now, of course, you have IGNOU is a great example, but there are most other universities also are joining this, that they are using radio, television, print medium, education, edusat satellites, um, the social media portals. You have the Sakshat. And we have been working with, when I was in NCSTC, we worked with IGNOU's EMPC and the community radio system and their EduSat system. And we found that there's so much willingness to cooperate and collaborate and try to see that these opportunities are able to reach as many people as possible. So I think the fact that we have at the moment uh, lakhs and lakhs of students and alumni of the open universities. We have 14, 15 open universities, state and national. We have open schools, again, state and national. And all these, I think, may present quite a substantial number of learners who are motivated, who for some reason have not been able to go for regular uh, courses, and who are utilizing the opportunities that the system is now offering. So I think, I mean, say we should ensure that we make specific programs to be able to meet the aspirations of open learners. And I'm very happy that Dr. Your team has selected and continue to work on the National Science Day and related ideas for addressing these students. I am very clear that we can make a difference. And we should be able to work in some way or the other that it becomes a meaningful exercise. Next, please. When we talk of exposure to exciting research or the type of research that is happening, I thought that I should talk about why do we need to propagate such science or science projects or research. The reason was the Children's Science Congress that Dr. Bhaskar mentioned my association with. We found that the children who they do have, I mean, access to their regular school students, so they have access to the laboratory. But then in the laboratory, they do some very, very simple experiments, in which there is no autonomy that they have. They are required to establish the wavelength of so and so, or I mean, find out the weight of whatever, it depends on what class they are working in, or reaffirm some principle that is known. That really cannot be exciting. So you're just finding out the what has been given to you, and nowadays I find even the practical book that the children are required to fill, that in my time were required to fill up, is now, I mean, say, given them with the process, with the equipment, with they only have to fill in readings. So I mean, say the things have changed. I mean, that is so. I was thinking that we need to have mechanisms by which those who wish to do uh, attempt at solving a problem should be able to have access to knowledge uh, and an idea that they would like to pursue and then be able to do it. So that conceptual framework for science projects, I think, is very well defined by many amongst you, and there are research papers on this that we should be able to use that conceptual framework not only for formal teaching and formal learning, but also for the excitement of research. So whether it is, and what are the gains? The gains are that one, you start applying your knowledge of mathematics. That I think is a very significant part of doing any research. The other is being able to think creatively and think deeply before responding. And the third is that can we explain and reflect uh, and perhaps even try to find more than one solution. Most problems do have more than one solution. And Dr. Bhaskar mentioned about my stay at the London School of Economics. And I thought the logo there is a beaver uh, which is looking for food. And so the beaver as an animal, I mean, it keeps digging inside, digging deeper and deeper until he finds what he's looking for. So I think science is like that. We should be able to search for the solutions. Um, can we generalize our conclusions? And if we are able to do that, then we are into a better frame. Whereas if we are, I mean, say, stuck and confirmed with one solution only, then perhaps we are being a bit ideological. Another thing, problems with ideology, a problem with that is that you then stop looking for other solutions. So we need to also become better communicators. So better writing, better presentation, being able to put up a summary, being able to write a research paper, and of course our research scientists are good for communicating with other research scientists in their own domain of specialization. They are not really very good at being able to talk to other specialists or to the laypersons. There are various programs now which the DST has started where they are trying to ensure that there is a writing skill augmentation as far as researchers are concerned. How do we best utilize our study centers? Study centers should also become somewhere, I mean, say there should be an opportunity to perhaps do some experiments, or maybe there should be a tie-up with a college laboratory somewhere where we are able to give the opportunity for open learners to be able to do experiments. That autonomy to investigate, I think that would be a very nice opportunity if we are able to do it in a practical way. And whether it is possible or not, it is amongst you scholars and administrators who will find a solution. And if the present problem is presented and persisted, I'm sure we'll find solutions. Next, please. So the excitement of research is the joy of discovery. If whether it is a small child who is playing with um, soap bubbles, or whether it is a scientist who is working on problems of relativity. If when you are able to come up with a solution, you really I mean have that eureka moment, and you're able to feel that wow, I've been able to do this. And if it's an applied area, and if we are able to solve a problem from everyday life, that I think is equally significant and equally important. So um, if someone has been able to reduce the workload of animal or of a worker or of anything, in even in a slightly significant way, I think that needs to be recognized. And we find that we have selected, like this year's theme is global well-being. Global well-being means individual well-being. It is not only global well-being. So I mean, say if there's a cashew nut worker whose skin gets affected because of the liquid that the apple has, the cashew nut apple has a very strong acid, and when you try to remove the seed, which is on the outside, their skin gets terribly affected, and we don't have solutions for them. When salt pan workers stand up to thigh, up to their legs, up to the knees, up to the thighs, I mean, say in water which is becoming brine every day, it is becoming more and more concentrated. But then it needs to be stirred so that the crystals take forms, and they become, and say they have such skin disorders which are permanently with them even for the season when they are not doing the salt pan work. So and these are in thousands all along the coast. And we haven't found solutions for them because we haven't used their found their problem, I mean, it's worth a challenge. I visited the National Institute of Occupational Health, which is an ICMR national lab, and they have their own criteria and own priorities, but they have not been able to give solutions for the people who are working in marble cutting, or those who are working on salt pans, or those are so many, I mean, say, trades. So we need people, I mean, say, scientists to pick up such problems and solve them. And I'm sure that there are people who can find solutions. Um, if we don't do research, progress will halt, or progress would slow down, or maybe we'll even revert. So we need to ensure that a lot of priority is given to such research. So SERB Online is a fantastic institution. There's a Science and Society division in their department, which is also doing fantastic work. And yet, perhaps all that we are able to come in within that ambit is good and yet not sufficient. So we need more and more researchers to be taking up such challenges and making a contribution, trying to reach a step closer to a big discovery. And I'm sure if the effort that you people have started as part of the National Science Day will perhaps somewhere help in reaching some people better and closer to the solutions. Um, like Albert Einstein used to say, I have no special talent, but I'm passionately curious. So, to all the audience, I think stay curious, stay passionate, and you will find that you have that special talent yourself. Next, please. Yeah. So, when we try to look at open learners and the joy of discovery, I think what we need is linkage. And that linkage will be resources. And I thought we should try and flag some of these. One is access to library, whether it is physical or digital. Uh, we have so much in Google Scholar, and so many other, I mean, sites now, which can allow us to work without necessarily having to have a physical library. Um, and we need perhaps only mentors to be able to guide the students. This is where you can get authentic information. Everything that is available on the net is not correct. But then if it is on in the authenticated, verified source, then definitely that is good. When we conduct courses for science journalists, we also keep telling them that your sources should be definitely good. And if they are not verifiable, then I mean, say, don't use them. The other is access to a laboratory. What is it that we can do? Whether it is, as I said, uh, allowing some mechanism by which student volunteers, student open learners are able to get access to a college laboratory, or what work they can do in their own kitchens or in the field, So I'm sure if we look at it in an open way, the mentor is able to guide. There will be a lot more opportunities for research to be taking place, not necessarily being limited by. And as I also mentioned, C.V. Raman, if in his time he was able to work on an equipment of less than 250 rupees, I'm sure, I mean, say, innovation is what is required to be able to do such work. Um, and even our space program, as we have learned, I mean, say, the various missions that we have had, the reason why we have been able to do things at such low cost is because of the innovation that they have used. And that has been continued to be an opportunity that we can definitely work with. Um, we need to ensure that scientists, people who are already established at a higher level, are able to volunteer as mentors, come forward. They need recognition if they have come, and we need to ensure that they get the advantage of feeling happy that they are the ones who have been able to mentor, guide, support, and show their way to a learner who is interested. So we need to distribute responsibilities and share the joy on completion of research. And that would be bringing ourselves closer to a big discovery. So we need to change our attitude towards science. Science, I think, is really, I mean, it's a very, very interesting. One can make a career out of small things, and also you can sometimes be uh, able to make a discovery by accident, something that you are not really, I mean, say, wanting to do, but then that's what you discover if your observations are good. So you need to be very sharp in your observation. And to all your young people in the audience, I would like to think that if you are pursuing a career in science, the major characteristic that you require, the aptitude that you need, is hard work and observation. If you have these two, you will make a good scientist. Next, please. So we just learned from what Dr. O.P. Sharma mentioned, that as it is, open learners are getting a lot of opportunity for becoming part of the Science Congress type of movement and through the National Science Day. So I would like to only add a few things, that when you write your essays or do your posters or do your ideathon, pick up a practical problem. And if you are able to identify a practical problem, so whether it is something which a common man is hampered with, or a child is focusing on, or that itself should become an area that you should find for investigation, uh, and try to see that you observe, gather as much information, analyze, compare the data, and the more data you have, and if you have worked on it systematically, you will be able to develop a hypothesis, work on it, do an experiment, do as many experiments as necessary to be able to establish your hypothesis. And if you have a good conceptual understanding, you will have come a long way. You would have been able to support um, a solution towards the problem. And my only call out is, don't stop and don't discourage questioning. And that is all to all the silver haired people like me and you, that we sometimes, I mean, say, are very, very abrupt in telling a child or telling an inquiry that I'm busy, search for yourself, don't ask stupid questions. I have a course to complete. But then I think, I mean, say, that is where we do make a mistake, both regular teachers and perhaps also online teachers, that we need to ensure that there is adequate space for asking questions, that there is an atmosphere where one can, I mean, say, stop and trip you if you're necessary with it, perhaps even a question which is maybe out of context. But then if it is something which is worrying a questioner, I think that itself is good. What we did during the various science serials that we made on radio and television, we ensured that there is a number that we gave, an address that we gave, and asked that if you have a question, you ask us. And we had Professor Yashpal for several years, who was, I mean, at that time available, who would say कि मुझे सब छोड़ मेरे पास छोड़ दो क्वेश्चन, मैं उसमें से सिलेक्ट करके उनके जवाब दूंगा. So turning point, the TV serial became a hit because Professor Yashpal would take 3 or 4 minutes at the end, picking up 1 or 2 questions and answering them in a way that only Professor Yashpal could do. But it was important that he was sending a message that questions are welcome. We may not have answers, but we'll make an attempt. Next, please. Yeah. So the Festival of Science and Technology is what you are doing. And I'm sure there'll be a lot more things that will happen in future. Some of this is already part of your program for this year. I just learned. Keep at it, and try to see that if how can we make it even more amenable to sorry. So life science demonstration, exhibition of projects, panel discussions, on the spot contests, film shows, theater shows, making it as open as possible, allowing a lot of people to come in, not only open learners, but even others. And if possible, making it a joy. That there should also be entertainment. There should also be like there was a science festival that was just concluded in Bhopal. Many things were happening there. Hundreds of children came, and many eminent scientists came, and the whole thing was, I think, done in a manner that science is not something which is only to be done in sanitized laboratories. It is all in the open, all in the ground. So I think that is the spirit in which I would expect that your effort will also emerge and grow. I'm very hopeful, and I'm also ready to volunteer. I mean, whatever little I can do, if there is something that needs to be done. So, best wishes to all of you on the National Science Day, National Science Month, and I think I'm at the end of it. There's perhaps one more slide. Yeah. So, greetings and best wishes. Thank you very much for having me here and listening to me. It was entertaining, fun, and I hope you found it equally interesting. I have given my email ID. If there's any, I do not know how much time you have today, but if there's any question that you have, any idea that you would like to share, it's more. I would most happy to look at it and try and give some response. It was nice for you to have me here. Thank you so much.
Thank you,
Best
sir.
wishes.
Thanks a lot.
Thank you, sir. Thank you for pointing out that being passionately curious and having the autonomy to investigate is the most important thing. And maybe India may slowly become the science superpower, definitely, because following the tradition of Sir C.V. Raman, who said that it was poverty and the poor laboratories that gave me the determination to do the very best I could, we really hope that Indian scientists develop or discover something that would give the Nobel Prize in the near future. And with this joy of discovery, solving problems of everyday life, working together with scientists, we can sum up with what you said in a very lucid manner. Now I move over to Professor Shubhokanto Mahapatra to elaborate more on this. Professor Shubhokanto Mahapatra, please.
Thank you so much, Professor Komalika. Respected Chair, Professor Satyakam, Pro Vice Chancellor, Professor Shrikant Mahapatra, my dear colleagues, all the directors and faculty members. Sir, it was a pleasure listening to you, I think almost 20 years. Me and Dr. Sharma was part of NIOS when you used to come very frequently. So I listened to you during late 90s, because early 2000 I left NIOS. And it was again a pleasure to listen to you after 2 decades. While saying, sir, please get me correct if I say that uh, as Professor Dr. Srikant Mahapatra was saying, that it took us 30 odd years to think about this rational thinking. Similarly, I don't know how many people in India knows the first UNESCO prize. It is known as Kalinga Prize because Biju Patnaik didn't name it in his name. And it was instituted 1952 for the popularization of the science. And if you look at the list, and many of the Nobel laureate are recipient of this award. And last year, if you look at a French astrophysicist, Lucien, his name is Pierre Lucien. So he received this prize. But unfortunately, after 1952, 70 years passed, we have never a parallel kind of award we have not created in India. So keeping that, you rightly started all the discussion with giving a brief background how that science and technology developed in this country. And you have rightly said that, as we all know, necessity is the mother of innovation. And rightly, all the innovation in India started from the food, because starvation, poverty, hunger, even if you look at the other Nobel Prize in economics by Amartya Sen, again, it is due to his consistent effort and research on this poverty and famine. So you rightly pointed out that it starts from the all the necessity which was there in India, and it was a glaring necessity to solve. So we started with the food sciences, and then we proceeded to health. Another name I can recall who died recently, Dr. Mahalanobis, he didn't patent his ORS. So we have lots of examples with us, and you have rightly said that we started from that food, health, because that was our necessity. And secondly, you have pointed out that yes, it is we are a country who have a large number of young population. Fortunately, we have invested a lot in the beginning as a developing country. We invested in all scientific institute. So that is why we are in a phase of which is very popularly known as reaping the demographic dividend. Whether we will reap it or not, time will tell us. And you have also highlighted that how NEP, National Education Policy 2020, Dr. Mahapatra, Professor Satyakam has also highlighted that it has many of the things. Sometimes our Vice Chancellor also speaks. Last time when Minister, HRD, Education Minister Dharmendra Pradhan was here, he was also talking that many of the things are being given by open learning, which has now been part of our education policy, which we are doing it, but it has not in a large scale restricted. But many of the things which we are doing in open learning, it has to be now mainstreaming in the entire country, which you have rightly highlighted. And then in the end, you have highlighted certain qualities which a researcher or a scientist should have, that scientific temper, the rationality. So all these things has to be inculcated, but then the effort should be started, and the critical thinking will only start when you have a deeper interest. And well, I'll just conclude here. We have an innovation club which is Dr. Sarma is heading. So many of the things which you have said, I think will help us, and both School of Sciences and I'm sure that the posters, the essays which will come out, how we will use it with a real problem, and how we can mainstream it I'm very hopeful and confident by your lecture we'll get certain hints and guidelines, so which we will implement it in a true spirit. Thank you so much, because time is very short, so we can discuss later on also. I can discuss with you personally how we can do it. So I once again thank you for your very thought-provoking lecture. Thank you so much.
Thank,
And
thank you.
now I think I'll request Dr. Newmai to propose the formal vote of thanks.
Thank you, Professor Mahapatra. It is an honor for me to give vote of thanks for this wonderful program. On behalf of the Seminar Committee, School of Sciences, IGNOU, I would like to extend our warm gratitude to all the dignitaries and all who have joined this inaugural webinar for National Science Day. I would also like to extend our gratitude to our speaker, respected Anu Sinha sir, for gracing the occasion and for delivering an eloquent and inspiring lecture on excitement of research for open learners. I'm sure we must have all immensely benefited from this lecture. I would also like to extend our sincere gratitude to our patron, Professor Nageswar Rao, Honorable Vice Chancellor, IGNOU, for his guidance and leadership and for giving his approval to organize this webinar. I would also like to thank our chairperson, Professor Satyakam, Pro Vice Chancellor, IGNOU, for sparing his time from his busy schedule to join our webinar and deliver the presidential address. Thank you, sir, for sharing your encouraging and insightful words on this important occasion. I would also like to thank Dr. Srikant Mahapatra, Pro Vice Chancellor, IGNOU, for his kind presence and for giving special address today. Thank you, sir, for your guidance and support in making this webinar a success. Our sincere gratitude to Dr. UC Pandey, Director, RSD, for the support and wide publicity given to the webinar. Our sincere gratitude to Dr. O.P. Sharma, Director, CIED, for the collaboration and support on this important occasion. Our deep sense of appreciation also goes to the, Professor Minal Misra, Director, School of Sciences, under whose continuous support and guidance we are able to accomplish and organize this webinar. We are also thankful to our director for providing all the necessary administrative and academic support in organizing the webinar. Our sincere appreciation to Director COE for the online broadcast of this prestigious event on YouTube. We also gratefully acknowledge the help and cooperation given by Rajesh Sharma, PIU, IGNOU, for wide publicity and for arranging the live streaming of the webinar on the IGNOU official Facebook page. We also thank our sincere, we also extend our sincere thanks to VC Office for assisting us at each step to arrange the webinar. We sincerely acknowledge the participation of our registrars, directors, and head of various schools, divisions, and regional centers who could find time to join us today. I sincerely thank each member of the seminar committee, School of Sciences, Professor R. Bhaskar, Chairperson Seminar Committee, for putting his effort to organize this webinar, Professor Kamalika Banerjee and Professor S. Mahapatra for moderating the program, Dr. S. Venkat Raman and Dr. Ravi Raswansi for designing the wonderful flyer for the webinar, Dr. Manisha Pandey, Dr. Kakoli Gogoi, and Dr. Neha Garg for their valuable inputs in organizing the webinar. I would also like to thank all the faculty members and office staff of School of Sciences for rendering voluntary service to make this webinar a success. Last but not the least, I would also thank all the participants and all the audience who make this event a success, a wonderful program and a success. Thank you all for being with us today and have a pleasant day. Thank you.
Thank you, sir, for your time and for all the knowledge you have shared. We will be in touch with you.
Yes.
Most welcome, sir.
Thank you so much. Thank you, sir. Thank you so much for enlightening lecture, sir. Thank you. We should look forward to more. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you, sir.